Football is back. The NFL is back. Well, college too, but football. So we saw the Cardinals game yesterday. I saw the highlights, saw the first bit of it. Danny, what did you think of what you saw?
I mean, they got a good win at the end, but, it's people who won it were not the starters. So I wanted to see a better performance for the starters, but, it's just, I don't know what to say about the Cardinals. It's a preseason win. How excited should I be?
Never be excited for preseason.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm still going to watch them and support them as much as possible. I just know it's going to be a tough season for Arizona Cardinals fan. I don't know, what do you think?
I'm rooting for them to lose every game. I want them to rebuild. If they can lose every game or get the first pick and...
What do you think? Should I've never done the gambling apps. So should I just open one up and just bet against the Cardinals each game and see how much I come out on top? Should I just do like $50 against the Cardinals every game and see what my end result is?
Someone told me that they're the underdog for every single game.
Well, we looked this up.
Is that true?
We looked this up on the podcast.
Crazy.
The underdog is in every single game.
That's crazy. They're going to win something. They got to win.
I'm sure they'll win at least 3 games.
I think 3. I think
at least 3 games. But I don't know. I'll try it. I'll do that. Just $50 each game.
Yeah.
Report at the end of the year.
Where you're at.
Where I'm at.
That'd be interesting. I mean, we have a fantasy football team league that we're in. When is that? Did you get any information? I
got an email. I still have to.
I haven't read it.
I have to look at it, accept it, and prepare for when the draft is for that.
Yeah, I usually prepare the day of, but what?
Like most people, right?
Yeah, I see the highlights. My take was from that game was I watched the first period, so I got to see the starters. They look horrible. The Cardinals look horrible. They're not scary at all. At all. Colt McCoy, God bless him. He's doing the best he can. He has no weapons. They look bad. Second, Denver missed 3 field goals in that game. So if they would have got those, they would have won. Third, our third string beat out their third string. So those guys will never touch the field. So it doesn't matter. Preseason's just have 2 games. Add that game to the regular season. Let's have 18-game seasons.
Sometimes preseason can help bring out hope. Like, oh, maybe they got something. But I really didn't see that big hope.
There's no hope. We don't have that star prospect or that big free agent pickup that, hey, let's see how he does on this team, because we have nobody. We don't have anybody. Like, we have Kyler Murray, and he's injured. Who knows when he's going to get back? It's, for lack of better words, it's going to be a shit show for the Cardinals this year. It really is. And I'm not kidding. I'm rooting for them to lose every game.
I know that when I bet, I typically lose at betting. So maybe I could do the Cardinals a solid. If not, I profit. It's a win-win, I guess. Cardinals win, I'll be happy. They lose, hey, at least I win my bets. So
it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a long. If you're a Cardinals fan, it's a long season. But we'll see what happens. It does you no good to win 6 games and get the 8th pick. It doesn't. The way I look at it, just go for broke, lose as many as you can, get the first pick. I think we have Houston's pick, and that could be the 2nd pick. And can you imagine the draft next year if Arizona has, let's just say, the 1st and 3rd pick? Like, they can build a real winner, turn this team around like no other.
Teams have that thought process? Let's just keep losing so we get a better pick.
What happens? If you really need a quarterback, you're like, hey, let's get the next Andrew Luck or some top.
But what about like the head coach? Does he think that too, or
no?
Like, I could lose my job, right?
Yeah, you would lose your job. But if you go in here, I mean, think about it. The Cardinals coach already knows like this is gonna be a hard year. Yeah. They're gonna give him leeway. It'd be a different story if it was a 3rd year, 4th year coach.
I don't know. We've seen leeway before. Well,
not like this. The Cardinals have nothing. There's no expectation. They're already, like you said, they're already underdogs in every game.
Right.
So the coach can be like, hey, all the pros and analysts say we're not going to win a game, and I won you too. So that's above expectations, And we got the 1st and 2nd pick, and here's what I want. I think the Cardinals are on that path.
All right. So besides Cardinals, who sticks out for you? What team sticks out right now?
Denver. Watching Denver, their new coach was the Saints coach, and he's gonna have a long year too. Denver's not good. They're going to finish probably third in their division because you got
Sean Payne, head coach, not working out.
no. It's not that it's not working out. It's just going to be a long year for Denver. There's almost not the same problems. Russell Wilson is just not the old Russell Wilson. He's a much richer, more into his investments than getting banged up and beat up all the time. So Kansas City's going to finish first. Then you got the old San Diego Chargers, which is the LA Chargers. Then you'll have Denver and the Raiders fighting for scraps. They're going to be the bottom of that division. So, but besides that, what impressed me from last night's game is that they were able to finish the game. I don't know. There's nothing impressive.
Well, other teams in the NFL.
Do you like their jerseys? Their new jerseys?
I don't know if they're just saying, let's just be plain, if that's what they're saying, because it is very plain jerseys. It's like almost high school jerseys.
But it's very Alabama-like. Alabama Crimson Tide, except bright red.
I wouldn't say they look cool. I don't think they do. They're super plain. They don't have any unique designs. You know how they have like different colors on the inside of the jersey or something like that, the armpit area, whatever.
Super plain.
It's just solid color all the way around.
But maybe it grows on you.
Maybe they're just like, let's.
Maybe not.
Maybe it adds to don't have your hopes up this season. We're just gonna have plain jerseys. We have
a plain team. It's super vanilla. We have no one on the roster.
We're not gonna put money to invest in cool design right now for jersey. It's gonna be plain. Yeah.
But they'll sell out. They'll still get a lot of people that come to the games.
You think they'll sell out? The games are gonna sell out?
I'm trying to be positive here. So.
Well, I'm trying to be realistic.
Yeah, when the Chiefs come.
Oh, for the away teams to come in and sell out?
You get Cowboys fans, that thing's like 90% Cowboys. It's embarrassing when you see that. Other teams, 49er fans travel really well here.
No, it's a good
Can we pull up their schedule, see who is coming for Arizona?
Yeah, just give me a second here.
I think, I don't know who they're playing, what division, but when they play the Niners, there's a lot of Niner fans out here. Who else do they play? Seahawks. Used to be a lot of Seahawks fans, but now that they're losing, they disappeared. Let's go week by week on this.
Let me just pull up the video.
Oh, see, week 2 in preseason in Kansas City. It's going to be all Kansas City fans.
Oh, yeah, they're coming here for sure.
All right, week 1 is, September 10th. That's right. That's about a month. 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Oh, my God. Week 1 could define the season. Commanders are not that great.
They'll beat the Cardinals. It's at Washington. I think they'll beat the Cardinals. So that's a loss right there.
Week 2.
Not a shadow of a doubt. I'd say 60-40. They have a chance. That's one of the games they have a chance to win.
All right. I would like the Cardinals to win, so I'll definitely bet against them. See if that helps them win. Because I'm a terrible gambler. No, I don't need assistance. What about week 2 against the New York Giants?
Giants. And it's at home, so.
It's here. You think we'll get a lot of New York fans here?
Yeah, there's a lot of New York fans.
They'll just
there
come
should
here?
be.
Okay.
But I think the Giants win that game.
Oh, the big one.
That is a big game. Wow.
Playing here, week 3 is Dallas Cowboys. And Dallas Cowboys fans, they live here. A lot of them live here. Yeah. So they're going to come here and watch the game. So that would be a sellout game.
Yes.
Mostly away fans, obviously.
That's Cowboys are going to crush them.
Yeah, they're going to give it to
them. At
them.
San Francisco, that's an easy San Francisco one right there.
For week 4, yeah.
Yeah. They have the Bengals. God, it sucks to have good teams come here and get beat up at home. The Bengals are going to crush them.
I think there's going to be a lot of Bengal fans here, too.
Yeah, but they'll crush them.
Just to watch them crush it.
Yeah.
I mean, what week is that? October, great weather. People are like, let's go to Arizona. Good weather. Watch your team crush their team.
Yep.
Good times.
They'll crush them. After that, week 6, you have LA Rams. I think we'll lose that one because it's at LA. And they're a little bit better, so they'll win. At Seattle's an interesting game.
Week 7?
Seattle wins, though.
Baltimore
crushes us at home. Gee, that's another one.
At home? My goodness, come on, man.
Baltimore's going to crush it. Week 9, they have a chance. At Cleveland?
At Cleveland?
Yeah, Cleveland sucks.
I know Cleveland sucks, but at Cleveland?
Yeah. Well, they have a chance. Not saying it's going to happen.
Okay, yeah.
Ooh, Atlanta. Home. That's at home. We could beat Atlanta.
Atlanta's not that great.
No, and that's at home. You could see that could be a win right there. At Houston, ooh.
Week 11,
Texas. They could beat Houston. Kyler Murray should be back, and that's a 50-50 game. Coin toss.
There's a chance with that.
If it was at home when they beat Houston, but it's at Houston, so we'll see what happens.
There's a good chance that they go either way. They have a chance.
Yeah, they have a chance. I think they have a chance with the Rams coming into town.
On week 12?
Yeah.
Right.
I think they can win that. At Pittsburgh, no chance.
At Pittsburgh,
Yep.
no chance.
Week 14.
Week 14 is their bye.
Yeah.
That's a long season until you get a break.
That's crazy. So they
That's a
won't
long
lose then. So that's good.
They're going to be so beat up that towards the last.
And then the Niners come
weeks.
in after the bye and beat them up. At Chicago, week 16. Very doable.
In the wintertime, that cold?
They're going to lose. Yeah.
I think
They're going to lose. Same thing with Philly. They're going to lose.
With that cold?
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago was way colder, though.
Yeah, but still, the Eagles are a great team. Good team. They're going to crush them at home.
Week 18 to be determined.
No, that's just the time.
Oh, the times?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're going to, if it's good, they'll flex them into a prime time, but we both know Arizona's not going to be on prime time.
So let's go through that again. The games that have a chance. Week 1, so there's one.
Yep. And not till Atlanta game, which is week.
What about, no, not the Rams. At LA? No. All right, so there's the Browns. You think there's a chance?
There's a chance at Cleveland.
So there's 2. Atlanta, 3.
3,
Texans.
4,
So there's 4 chances. Maybe the Rams at home.
5.
That's 5.
And that's it. So
5 games where they have a chance to win.
So if they have a chance, I'd say 50-50 on those. So that's 2.5, maybe 3 wins.
So yeah, maybe 3 wins that
There's
season.
your 3 wins.
If you're lucky. Holy
3
crap.
wins versus those 5 chances. 60% conversion is not bad.
Yeah. So either way, I think I'll be on top with my gambling.
Yeah, they're gonna lose
I think
majority.
I could lose three bets out of 18.
Yeah, they're gonna lose majority.
Nothing positive to say. Anything about the NFL? You think of?
Well, NFL wise, yeah, because we still got other teams. I think Kansas City's gonna win, man. I think they're gonna win it
The
all.
whole thing?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people hate Kansas City. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, there's not much to really hate on, but I mean, he's good. You know, he just doesn't do a lot. He doesn't do a lot of mistakes. Is he going to be as good as Brady? Numbers wise, maybe. But same thing with Brady, you have to have longevity, right? So Patrick's going to have to play a lot, and he's got a ton of rings. He's chasing. So depending on what they build around him, which I think they can, I think he has a shot at Brady's records, Super Bowl wins, and yards and touchdowns and everything.
Well, based on his current pace, sure.
Based on his current pace. But we all know he could get hurt, career-ending injury, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
anything can happen. But this year, I mean, he could, definitely will have a good chance of winning. If he wins it this year, then it's going to make me believe like he's on a good pace to catch up to Tom Brady's Super Bowl records. What is it, 6, 7?
8.
Oh my
He has a lot.
He has a lot.
Tom Brady has a lot of Super Bowl wins. I think Tom Brady, he went to 11 Super Bowls?
I think we talked about this
Yeah,
too.
he was one off of going to 12, which would have been TB12 or something. But Tom Brady's just, he's just won a ton of rings. I think he's won like 8. Something like that.
He's won 7 total. 6 with the Patriots, 1 with the
He's
Tampa
lost
Bay.
4, so he's 7 for 11.
Even having 11 Super Bowl appearances.
That's more than every single team, pretty much.
Gosh.
11 Super Bowls? No team's been to 11 Super Bowls. I think the highest is like 6 or 7. So that's pretty crazy. Tom Brady does it. He's the GOAT. And not just the GOAT. He was a 6th round GOAT. Watching his old, like, any documentary of Tom Brady, when you watch it, you're like, everyone was down on him. Everyone was like, this guy sucks. He's not going to make it. He was a walk-on on Michigan or whatever. Ends up he started 13th quarterback on the depth chart at Michigan. 13. Ended up, playing, but it's like, it's so crazy to me that
The underdog story then.
it's a great underdog story. It's almost like a Kurt Warner underdog story. Those are the 2 craziest quarterback underdog stories in the NFL, which they're both great stories. Like, I have nothing bad to say about Tom Brady. Everyone hates him because he wins, right? Everyone hates seeing the winner, I guess. That's what it is, except Patriot fans. They see that, they're like,
They had good times, man.
great times with him. And I'm convinced it was him, not the coach. Or can't say the combination because he went to Tampa and won. So it is definitely Tom Brady and the brand that he had, and the dude's winning in life and everything. He's the GOAT. He owns part of the Raiders. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So he'll probably be quarterback week 1. Just kidding. He's retired, though. He said he's retired. So
I believe him this time.
I believe it 100% this time. He's going to watch Jimmy G, which is crazy. Jimmy G was his backup in New England.
This is right. Yeah.
It's kind of cool to see that their interactions are going to be interesting. So I'm a fan of his. I'm a Raiders fan, so I'm still, it's kind of cool that he's there. But my Raiders are going to be horrible.
Think they're going to be that bad?
Yeah, they'll win 6 games maybe.
Versus the Derek Carr days?
Hey, Derek Carr is going to do good. God, if you can pull up a picture of Derek Carr real quick, just saw yesterday, he is jacked. Like, Derek Carr is jacked right now. And they were talking about changing his name to Derek Truck. I was like laughing because, there he is right there. Saints uniform. There's one picture that he was like in the huddle, like right there. The first picture is top, where you can see his biceps. Like, look how jacked he is right there.
Let me just pull this. Audience can see.
Yeah, pull it up so you don't see all those pictures.
Like this one?
No, the first one.
This here?
Yeah.
You got some arms for sure.
Yeah. Can you blow that up so people can see that?
It's like a degraded photo.
Oh, it's degraded? But look at his, he's jacked. He almost looks like a dwarf.
The arms are pretty dang big.
Yeah, they're bigger than last year, that's for sure. This is his revenge year to show everyone that, he's back or he's jacked or whatever. Because he wasn't like that in the Raider days.
Yeah, small arms too, back in those Raider days.
Well, typical quarterbacks don't have the biggest biceps. I mean, they don't want you to lift like crazy because they don't want you to harm your arm. But good for him. We'll see what happens. Watch the Saints make it to the Super Bowl and be like, damn it. So it wasn't Derek Carr, which I still believe it wasn't Derek Carr. It's the coaching. Not a big fan of the Raiders coach. What's next?
So I want to bring up Arizona Diamondbacks. What's been going on? They're on like a losing spree lately.
Yeah, the last 10 they were like 1-9, but before that, a month ago they're in first place by like 4.5 games over the Dodgers. Now they're like 12.5 games behind. They're not making the playoffs.
That's crazy because they look like they were for sure going to make the playoffs, and they just started losing.
They just started. Something happened. The ship sank. They look horrible. Not that they were expected to win this year, but when you start off strong, they're downright horrible right now.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. Their future, San Diego,
loss.
The Rockies, they'll be able to win. But, yeah, they've lost a lot of games.
It was something like after the All-Stars. They just started, even before, right?
Well, they got swept by the Mets in New York. They
got swept by the Blue Jays.
Yep. They won 2 at Atlanta, which was amazing. They thought, hey, we're going to turn it around. But then they get swept by the Reds. You lose 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. You lose 2 out of 3 to the Mariners. I mean, you start losing. You're not... you lose 3 out of 4 to the Giants, which is... They got crushed. They got swept by the Twins. Swept by the Dodgers. They're 1-1 right now. They had the rubber match today against the Padres, but that's going to be the rest of their schedule is pretty tight. Like, they got the Reds coming into town, so
slightly concerns me right now. Can they even make wild card?
Well, right now we're on. Go to the wild card on the top. How far are they behind? 3 games behind in the wild card.
3 games behind, yeah.
That is kind of a lot this late in the season. It's doable because you got to leapfrog 3 teams. You got to leapfrog Miami, Cincinnati, and the Cubs. Is it possible? Yes.
It's possible still, but they need to
they have to
shake it off and turn it around and start winning
right now.
They can't be losing very many games right now.
No. They got to turn around right away, but I don't think they have they don't have the personnel. They didn't go aggressive in the trade deadline because they were losing into the trade deadline, and so they figure, why are we going to, spend our prospects, our, farm system to get players that might not cut it? Because I think offensive wise, they got the guys they need. There was no big bats out there that were coming at a cheap price, even the ones that were free agents after this year. I know they were talking about Shohei Ohtani for a minute, and that it would cost them a lot. I think I would have done it because Shohei's a top pitcher and a top hitter. He's an amazing athlete and just a stud. Probably number one baseball player right now is Shohei Ohtani. And he's going to be a free agent after this year, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I think he goes to the Dodgers. I think he likes LA. He'll stay in LA, but the Dodgers have the money and the means to pay him. I don't think the Angels do.
Anything else about baseball?
No, it's looking at this, I think the Braves and Astros would be the World Series. Atlanta looks really good. Well, I mean, Dodgers look good too, but Atlanta looks really good. They have the leading home run hitter in Matt Olson. He's also the RBI leader, and their offense is tremendous. The Braves are going to be the best team for the next decade.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
they got team right now.
They got all these young players locked up for the next 10 years. It's crazy. At least the rest of the 2000s, they're the team of this 2020s.
Wow.
Because everyone's locked up till 2029, 2030, which is crazy.
Cool. All right, what else? Anything else you want to talk about baseball?
If you want to go back to it, let's go to the Diamondbacks farm system.
Farm system?
Yeah, I think you go to prospects. Go up to, they're right there. Roster top 30 prospects.
All right, let me just flip the screen on back for people.
So their top two prospects right there, Jordan Lawler and Drew Jones, are game changers. Those guys would be really, really good. Jordan Lawler will be coming in next year. He's a shortstop, 21 years old. He's gonna be a stud. But Drew Jones, which is Andrew Jones' son, second round pick last year in the draft, he's about 2 years away. He's gonna be the center field fixture when he comes up, and next 2 years they're gonna be really good. I 100% believe they're gonna be good. That the guy the Diamondbacks locked up for the next 8 years. Carroll out in right field is just a stud. So they're going to look good. So we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to pull this up and show that the future's pretty bright with those two guys coming up.
So we can expect them next year?
What's that?
We'll expect them next year?
To do good?
To play for the Diamondbacks.
Oh, Lawler?
Yeah.
And
Jones.
Jones won't. Unless something dramatic happens. He's in the rookie ball right now. He's 19, at least 2 years.
Okay.
Jordan Lawler will probably start game one. He's ready.
Cool. Diamondbacks. What else we got for Diamondbacks? Or baseball in general?
No, we're good on baseball. Let's talk about Alexi Lawless. A lot of people don't know who he is. He played back in the 90s for Team USA, men's Team USA, played defense. He was a stud. He was awesome. He made a statement about what was happening with the women's team. Here's what he said. Don't kill the messenger. The United States women's national team is polarizing. Politics, causes, stances, and behavior have made this team unlikable to a portion of America. This team has built its brand and has derived its power from being the best, winning. If that goes away, they risk becoming irrelevant. I 100% agree with them. If they don't start winning, if they don't win, no one cares. Mm-hmm. And it's not like the men's team where if the men's don't win, we don't expect them to win, but we're still behind the men's. If the women don't win, no one's going to be behind the women. No one's going to be behind the women. There's so many people that wanted the women's team to lose because of the way they had their politics and their stance. Mm-hmm. I did see that during the Sweden game, only 6 U.S. players were singing the American anthem. And
have you ever sang the national anthem anywhere you go?
No. So to me, when
the
they say
singing,
that,
I'm going to let that one go.
Yeah, I would too.
And besides, if you try to sing it yourself, it's a little difficult. There's a reason why a lot of singers who sing it screw up. It doesn't flow very well. That's why Christina Aguilera screwed up.
Yeah, and Roseanne.
But I'm not going to I'm going to set aside the singing
Yeah.
part. I'm just going to go with people who stood, put their hand over the heart.
Yeah, it's kind of hard when like you criticize someone during the singing of a national anthem. Oh, they're just standing there. What are they supposed to do?
Yeah,
If they're not taking a knee, why does it matter?
exactly. The kneeling one, okay, we could debate about that one.
Yeah.
But singing it, like, come on, man, it's a stretch.
Yeah, unless they say, "Oh, I hate the national anthem." Well, why? You know what the anthem represents. Why would you hate it? But for someone like Alexi Lawless to say this stuff, I mean, he's just saying what everyone's thinking, and that's what it is. Like, I know a lot of people were glad that they lost. It's a reality
I
check.
did get in. Is the U.S. women's soccer team getting into publicity because of their stance? Would people, let's say there was never a political stance, would people even care about the U.S.
Oh,
women's
they
team?
would care because they're a winning team. They win. They're expected to win. They did commercials saying who's going to beat us, this and that. And I guess a lot of like the Swedish teams, the Dutch teams, all these other teams were saying that the U.S. came in super cocky to this tournament, right? And as they should be, but you got to back it up. You guys lost, and their time is done. Their time is done. Like, you can't say we're winners for the next 4 years and get excited for the next Women's World Cup. They got to revamp the whole team. Get rid of everyone that is like that. And, like, politics aside, don't bring in the locker room. You guys are here for one goal. Play for your country. Play for each other. Play for the person to your left. Play for the person to your right.
Don't they have like a PR for the team that says, "Hey, man, don't be posting this on your social media. It brings down the team."
Yeah, but they don't listen. They make too much money. They make a lot of money. They really do. Not to what they think, but for people like me and you, they make a lot of money. Like Rapinoe's in the millions, Alex Morgan's in the millions.
Well, she got endorsements,
Yeah, they got these endorsements, and
but not every single soccer player gets endorsements.
no, exactly. So they want equality and stuff. So you guys want equality, then why don't you share that with the rest of the players on your team? Oh no, it's because I got the endorsements. It's because they picked me. Come on, that's not equality to me, right? But they play in like the women's. They have a women's league out here, but it's not the top leagues. Like the top leagues are still in Europe. So the reason we talk about I want to talk about women's. It's been a week since we talked about them losing. But I've had a week to think about, letting it sink in. What does it mean? And I don't hate Megan Rappin. I can never say her name.
Rapinoe, I believe it is. But I mean, she's a talent. There's no question. It's just like, it's unfortunate that she brings up her opinions, political views, to be challenged. I mean, that's your personal life, and it's not. You're trying to make a statement. I thought she probably thought she was doing good doing the kneel. And that's where everything started.
Yeah, you're saying, "Oh, we're oppressed." No, you're not. You make a ton of money. You get to play on the largest stage. You make a ton of money. You get a ton of money. And what we talked about, a lot of other women in other countries don't have that chance, right? She does. And the fact that, I don't want to say takes advantage, but like uses that platform to say she's an activist and how her greatest achievement was getting equal pay. What's equal pay? Like, other women in other leagues don't make what U.S. Women's makes, right? Alex Morgan, look at that. Salary is $7.1 million.
This was back then, right? Yeah.
Well, she makes $800 million or $800,000 playing women's soccer. That's a lot of money. Who goes to those games? Really? Who's buying those tickets? Like, look at Megan Rapinoe, $7 million. She gets 6.3.
But I'm trying to get away from the endorsement deals and whatnot. Like, what's her salary playing for the team?
$700,000.
Which is $250,000 a year? Is her salary?
No. Well, it says right there.
Contract renewal, right?
Yeah, $250,000, and brings in $6.3 million off-field earnings.
Yeah. Okay.
Right there, Alexis. That's my girl. She plays for Barcelona. She's awesome. She makes like $680,000, or is it okay? $800,000. See, that's a big contract because she plays on a big pro stage. Trinity Rodman, Dennis Rodman's daughter.
So she gets $800,000 for her contract. Of course, they make money off field.
Yep. She's
Crystal Dunn
700,000.
makes 700,000 a year. These are
That's a lot.
these
Julie
are high
Ertz
six
makes
figures.
700,000.
These are high six figures for a professional soccer player.
Yeah.
But in order to get the salaries increased, you need people to go to the games. You need people to buy your jersey.
You can't do Bidenomics to make money.
Unless they're thinking like, hey, we do have people who go to our games. We do have people who buy our jerseys. It's just our contracts are not giving up enough pay.
Okay, you don't have the TV contract. Where's the TV money? We all know that TV money is one of the biggest parts of baseball, football, and basketball. And if you don't have if the MLS players aren't making that kind of cheese, why do you think you're going to make that kind of cheese? Right? I mean, Amazon just got the MLS rights because Messi's here. Messi's just changed the game. Can you say that, Megan, that you can change the game like Messi did? You can't get people clawing at you saying, well, we want to give you a TV deal, this and that. No. Be happy with the amount of money you're making now. And it's going to go away. You're not going to be on Team USA anymore, so why would those companies want you to represent? Unless it's one of your little woke companies that you like to stand for or whatever. But it's again, keep politics out of sports. It's a better place because you're either going to alienate half of your viewership and then champion the other half. But why? When you can have 100% like you for who you are and not what you tell them that they should like or how it should be. We don't like that. Americans don't like when you tell them that they should do this, do that. No.
Yeah.
We don't like that. So,
outside of the FIFA World Cups, I don't watch women's soccer. Well, one, it's difficult. It's not going to be on TV all the time. So you have to go to the games, right?
Right.
And I'm not rallied up enough to go to the games to buy a ticket and whatnot and enjoy the experience.
No. Women's World Cup is that's what I mean. You get excited for the women's team every 4 years. So now that they lost super early in the tournament, you're like, okay, what do we expect next year? Are we going to keep this activism crap going, or are we going to, hey, let's go back to what the old teams were like, hardworking, play for your teammates, leave all that politics outside of the locker room, and win again? Because if you don't win, no one cares. No one's going to buy your product, plain and simple. The men's, different story. They buy the product knowing that they don't have a chance to win, but let's root because it's Team USA. The women's, you have to win to be relevant.
So, the only time I see outside of the World Cup when I see women's play do great is how sometimes with ESPN top 10 plays, they shove in random sports that you really don't watch, but it's such a good play.
Yeah.
So they'll shove in a women's soccer that's a really good play, or a random softball game that was good play. I don't watch these sports, but okay.
That's kind of cool. But the women's, they lost to a bunch of 14-year-old boys in Dallas. And it wasn't a top 14 boys in the U.S. It was a bunch of kids played in Dallas, in that area. They lost 5-2. You can look it up. Not you right now, but people listening. They lost to...
I think that's well known enough, right?
Yeah, U15. And the Australian women, same thing. They lost to a bunch of 13-year-old boys. There's a difference between the men's and girls game, plain and simple. That's why there's a women's World Cup and why there's a men's World Cup. Don't say you can do the same job. You can do the same game, but you can't play as good as the men's. And the caliber game is not up to par to the men's, plain and simple.
Well, their only weapon is, okay, how do you just become the star that makes a lot of money? It was like Ronda Rousey, who she doesn't get equal pay. She gets paid greater than a lot of the men's because she brings in the crowd.
Oh, yeah. She is exciting. She's tantalizing. She does something different, and she comes in like a hurricane. She made more than a lot of the men's.
She is exciting to watch. She's very talented.
It's the product. It's the product. Don't say because we could do the same thing that you deserve the same amount. You're not getting the same publicity. That's up to your PR people. You're not getting people to buy your jersey.
It'd be like, okay, Ronda Rousey was amazing. People went to watch Ronda Rousey. She made a lot of money out of that. But obviously, if she went up against men, she'd get her butt kicked.
Destroyed. She gets beat up by boys. What's the difference between men? Men would destroy her.
But people wanted to watch a women's UFC They spent a lot of money. Ronda Rousey made a lot of money doing it.
There's some good fighters in the women's UFC division.
I still love watching it too.
They're great fighters.
So it's just like how they bring it to the table to get fans excited, not to get fans excited for other women's sport. Stop comparing yourselves to men. Just stay good in your women's league and excel at it.
Yeah.
And then people will follow that. Hey, you're really good at what you do. They'll follow you and they'll spend the money. They'll start buying your jerseys and everything else.
Well, it's the same thing with WNBA. Like when they like interview them, some of the sportscasters be like, "Well, your game's, almost more exciting than the men's." I'm like, "Shut up, because I watched since I became a Mercury fan recently. I'm watching some of the games, going, "Wow, there's a lot of it's slow. It's not up to par compared to the men's. Not even up to par to like college or even it's like watching high school basketball. It really is, and it's not like." Nothing against the women. It's just the caliber of play, man versus woman, is way different. Way different. The way they shoot, the way they dribble, the way they pass, way different than men's. Men's is just super fast.
How did you feel about Diana Taurasi getting 10,000 points, first ever for
I
WNBA?
love Diana Taurasi, though. I'm glad.
I was very proud of her.
I'm super stoked.
I was really happy.
She is one of my favorites, and I've seen her since she played at UConn. Or college basketball all the way up to now. I've seen her since her career, and I've been interested in her career. She's a stud. She's good at her craft. I don't see her unless I'm not listening. She's not an activist. She's not saying what you should do, whatever. She goes about her life, lives her life, and lets her skill do the talking. She's super good. So yes, I was excited to see that. That's a great achievement. She's won championships here, so it's really cool. I'm a big fan of hers. She's just super talented, so I'm glad. She just threw the ball for a Diamondbacks game recently.
Yeah, with her 10,000 jersey on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was stoked about that. She's someone to watch.
She's definitely Miss Arizona in professional sports.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because I can't tell you who the number 2 female is.
Sophia, your girl Sophia.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, that's saying WNBA again.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, what's the next women's professional sport in Arizona?
That's it. It's just hard to get women's professional anything.
Well, there's tennis.
Well, that's individual, right?
Oh, you're talking about sports teams?
Sports. I'm talking like, hey, bring a professional softball team. That'd be tough.
I like softball.
Well, everyone likes softball because anyone can do it, except fast pitch softball.
Well, I mean, because I'll watch like the college level, and they're exciting. I find them exciting.
It's interesting. I'd say that. It's like good luck hitting that. Like I wouldn't be able to hit a softball. The way they pitch underhand is like, what the hell? It's a weird mechanic.
But I wonder why there's no. I know the professional exists, but it's not at all up near like WNBA or soccer.
I know they're trying to do professional soccer's out there for women, but it's not popular. Like no one talks about it.
Well, the thing is, it's like I know of the women's professional soccer more than I do of the college, but I know more of women's college softball, but I don't really know much about the professional.
No, I don't know if there is. There might be something like, but they do the women's tour where they play other countries and stuff. But you're right. I don't know much about that. But I'm good on this. There's another topic that's coming up that's kind of personal for all of us. I'll let you take it away.
Which one? This next one?
Yeah.
Okay, so changing gears off sports. The recent fires in Maui. Pray for all the people that are impacted by this. Lahaina, I lived in Oahu for 8 years, and I've been to Maui a few times, especially Lahaina, former capital of Hawaii at one point in time, before it was Honolulu. So the fire. Let me show you the video of it first, because this is crazy. Like, this is unreal. This is history.
Yeah. Well, we were married there in Lahaina, and right by Front Street. So to see this is just crazy.
So I'm just pulling up the video. It's just like how it is just on fire. That is so crazy. It's just how much fire there is. Now, the fires were exacerbated by a nearby hurricane. So the winds moving on 80 miles per hour, pushing the fires to other areas. But that's just a huge chunk
Yeah.
of
Well,
Lahaina is gone now.
there's a lot.
And a lot of the blame, they're looking at the electric company to blame as the source of the fires. With the Hawaii Electric's damaged power infrastructure, which served to ignite the sources of the fire. I mean, living in Hawaii, infrastructure is not that great. But it's hard to build a good infrastructure on islands to begin with, especially a huge infrastructure with huge population. So yes, I get it, but at the same time, you're still liable for that.
Well, it's saying right here, for what we have learned, we believe that the Lahaina fires could have been prevented had proper safety precautions had been taken. I don't know. It's sad. It's just sad that there's such a large chunk of real estate, of expensive real estate, and old shops, and just really cool part of Lahaina is gone.
It's just the amount of fires that went on. It just blows my mind.
I haven't heard anything about rebuilding yet. Well, maybe
It's too soon. They just need
to stop that Ukraine money and send it there.
Last I checked, it was yesterday. It was 80% contained. Hopefully, it's fully contained by now. So it's just a matter of stopping the fire, find all the dead bodies, because it was up to 89 last time.
It's gonna be a lot.
So there might be more.
It's gonna be a lot because there's like over 1,000 people missing. Can you imagine a family member missing? Like, you're thinking the worst.
Look at this. So it says the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, previously predicted the cost of rebuilding the wildfire-ravaged town of Lahaina might reach $5.52 billion.
Guess who's going in there? I bet you BlackRock is going to be...
Oh my goodness. Don't.
Is going to wave their flag. We'll help.
Don't.
We'll help. Don't do it, Hawaii. Build it yourself. If I'm an islander, or if I'm the council, if I'm mayor, I'm saying, help us like you help Ukraine, but we build it our way.
No, after living in Hawaii, the greed has caught up there.
There's a lot of greed.
The greed has taken over what the needs of the locals significantly.
Look at that. Decolonial greed ravaged Hawaii.
I like that terminology. Decolonial greed.
Yeah.
Decolonial greed. Yeah, it's true. I mean, look at Oahu. Oh my goodness.
Oahu's crazy.
Like, there's a reason why people say they get outpriced of Hawaii, outpriced of paradise rather, and move to Ninth Island, which is known as Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It's sad when the local natives can't afford to live there.
They can't.
And they have to go to like the mainland.
I remember taking a shuttle from in Maui, and there's a local on the shuttle. I got to talk to her. I like to talk to everybody. And she was telling me that she works 3 jobs, lives in a household with 3 families to be able to afford to live on her native land. Wow. I can't believe there's nothing put in place, kind of like Indian reservation stuff, right? Where the Indians get a certain amount of money. Why can't they do that for the Hawaiians, the original Hawaiians there? What's the difference between an Indian and a Hawaiian? Like, it's almost like the same thing. Not the same thing, but the same concept. Like, they were there first. Their generations have been there first,
and they're being pushed out financially, right?
They are being pushed out. Where do they go? The mainland? They've never been to the mainland.
Think of like a good, high-paying, decent job. Let's just say like a good physician. You get a way better house as a physician here compared to Hawaii. You might still even be renting in Hawaii. It's so hard.
Hawaii
to have a
expensive.
Decent house in Hawaii. But I get it's landlocked, it's paradise, it's beautiful, but for the natives there, and I mean, no one's forcing them out, but it's live on the streets if you love it here bad enough, but you're not getting a house.
They're being forced out. They can't afford the lifestyle. You know, if you're working in the resorts and you're waiting on people that can that vacation there, and you live there and you can't afford it, you have to work 2-3 jobs just to survive. That's not a life. That's not a life. That's no days off. Like, and you can't afford to take a day off because then you get behind on your bills, because everything is expensive in Hawaii. Food is imported. Don't get me on like the electricity and the bills. Like you said, housing, and most of the time you're not in a position unless your great grandfather bought the land, bought the house, and 6 generations of you are living on that small property because that's all you can afford. There's pockets where like a small acreage was from the grandpa and 6 families live on that acre, and they all have their own like apartment complexes and stuff, and they're fine with that because that's all they know. But in reality, what's going to happen to the next generation? They got to build up or build more on that property, and it's fine to a certain degree. But then after a while, you got to realize there's going to be a time where you ran out of land, you ran out of growth. Like you got to push people out, and that's sad to see that. And it is paradise.
There's no protections for natives, really.
There isn't. There should be. We're just too greedy.
I know there's something there. I don't know what it is in full detail, but it's not
enough. It's not enough.
Not enough.
It's not enough. They need to be protected. There is still a lot of land, but I know like in Maui, there's a lot of open land, but it's like
but people don't like development though. At the same time,
yeah, they don't like development.
Living in Hawaii, they don't want to see any more development.
Yeah, but at
100%.
the end of the day, what are you going to do? You know what? Maybe there should be development if you're Hawaiian. Open up another pocket and say, but then,
it'd be like relocate. It'd be like reservations.
Not really reservation, but you're like saying, you're building these new houses, but you have to be Hawaiian. What if I want to live there? You're that's they'll say racist or whatever, but you're forcing Hawaiians to think outside the box and build on state land that they don't want to build on, but they have to for other generations of Hawaiians. At the end of the day, you got one has to take. It's a give or take. But you're right. Once you start developing, when does it stop? And then that whole island could be covered with just development.
Yeah, because
it'll look like New York City.
The median house is what, $1.1 million,
and it sucks that they're tiny houses.
What do you do? Like, you could have a good, decent, high-paying job, physician or something.
You gotta win the lottery.
It's still expensive, right?
Yeah, it's too expensive. That payment would be
crazy.
crazy.
You have to be someone who's like crazy rich to afford.
And you're always worried about getting fired then.
Yeah.
If you have that kind of bills, right? You're living paycheck to paycheck. You can't afford to take a day off. It's just what's going on right now in Lahaina is sad. It's I see a lot of people posting their old pictures of visiting, and it's like I said, I got married there. I have memories there. I loved it. It's beautiful there, and it's gone. It is gone. They're gonna have to redo it, but who's gonna redo it? That's why I'm scared. Black Rock.
Look like? I know what's it gonna look like after it's rebuilt.
It's no longer gonna have the historic. It's gonna be resorts.
It's not gonna have that historic feel anymore.
It's gonna be all resorts. Watch, it's all commercial.
We walked down there in Lahaina, lucky enough, with all the small shops and whatnot. Yeah. Now it's gonna look like more like downtown Waikiki. Just all.
Yeah, you were there when we got married. Yeah, it's gonna be. It's going to be like Waikiki. I hate Waikiki. It's so commercialized, man. It's so commercialized. And it's going to be the same thing.
It looks a lot like the Vegas Strip without the gambling.
But it's like so touristy. At least,
very touristy.
At least Front Street, yeah, it's touristy, but not super, right? It's still a lot of cool, like, island feel to it. Now it's going to be commercialized. And there's nothing we can do about it. It's corporate greed. They're going to take advantage. Oh, we have all this... like, who owns the land? Can they have a say, or are they going to get bought out?
How are the insurance companies going to pay that out? They're going to look for ways to not pay it.
Oh, of course. Insurance companies suck. If you work at an insurance company, don't try to change my mind. Working with insurance companies on anything, this is like pulling teeth. Like, hey, I'm paying for this insurance. How come I'm not getting, this? Oh, and they'll find some reason to make it your fault. Or, hey, you know what? You missed a signature when we sent you the paperwork. Shut up.
Yeah.
So full of crap.
Or it's worded this way because this happened, therefore it's not available for this. That's why you're denied. It's
worded this way. You're interpreting it one way, but that's not the interpretation. This is the interpretation. No, it's written this way. It's this way. It's. I hate insurance companies, but yeah, just prayers, thoughts, all that good stuff with Lahaina. Hopefully, they're gonna say build back better, but we all know it's gonna be freaking McDonald's and commercial stuff, and it sucks.
We're gonna see Marriott and all that.
Oh yeah, don't get me started with the resorts that are just. I guarantee you, behind the scenes, all these companies, the Marriotts, the Hiltons, all these companies are like, ooh, salivating. Guess what? We're gonna put the next beachfront property right there. We're gonna build this. Yeah. They're salivating.
The one thing I agree with Hawaii is that all beach there's no private beaches in Hawaii. That's how it should be.
It should be everywhere, but not.
Well, not in like California and stuff, right? Yeah, private beaches.
Well, there's private beaches there for a reason. They have a nudist beach there. They're right around a public one, which is crazy. I was there with my buddy Rich Tannenbaum once, and like, hey, what's around this rock? And it's like this big rock separating these beaches. So we took our kids around the rock.
Oh no!
And went around, and we're like, turn around, let's go back.
And nude beaches are not what you think. It's not a bunch of attractive people naked.
No,
it's the least attractive people in the world.
I think it was a gay beach too. And that's why I like turn around. There's no bottoms here. Let's get out. But that's what we have for. I mean, obviously we'll follow up on that, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Next segment I have is just an update on housing.
Yes, we're gonna have a guest too.
We're gonna have a guest, so let's talk about our little portion before we bring him on.
Yes. Go ahead, Danny. I'll let you take this.
Think, if I'm not correct, he's more focused on like the Maricopa County local.
Yeah, I'll bring on my buddy Brian Raspberry and just talk about what's going on in Maricopa. But if you want to talk about what's going on, either way, I'll let you take this segment. I totally think housing is a garbage sale right now. It's just in the dumps, and there's nothing that you can convince me that it's gonna get better. It just isn't. There's another price hike. There's another rate hike coming. There's no rates dropping next year. What can you tell me that's going to be good? Because every realtor is going to tell you it's a great time to buy, which I get it. It's their job. But I know a lot of them that are starving right now. It sucks.
Well, here's the thing. Like we all saw the YouTube videos for the past 2 years. Like, a crash is coming. A crash is coming. I think we learned from the past of housing crashes of like how to keep things stabilized. Because right now, I think they know we can't have inventory skyrocket. If we skyrocket inventory, that's the crash. That's probably the key to the crash. Would you agree?
Inventory for sure. I think that in a combination of rates dropping to 2% again will crash the market.
I don't think we'll see 2% or 3%.
We won't unless
we might be lucky with 4%. That's saying if we're lucky.
That's good. 4% would be tremendous.
We would be lucky to see that.
5% to me is great.
Here's for certain, at least from Jerome Powell said, there's going to be another rate increase this year. They're not looking at any rate drops next year. So we're guaranteed another year and a half of high interest rates right now. And if you think that, 2 years plus that they're going to drastically drop interest rates unless we have like another pandemic or something, I mean, it's insane.
I don't want to talk about pandemics. I think we got to be done.
But, I mean, the rates dropped because of the pandemic.
We just had a COVID scare in our office.
Now.
And I'm like, here we go again.
But, well, for interest rates to drop drastically, I don't think it's going to happen again.
World War III would make them drop. Something big like that. I'm talking dropping historical lows. And again, we were at those rates for a long time. Mm-hmm. Too long.
But I think a lot of people stayed on the sidelines past 2 years like, it's housing is, the prices are skyrocketing, they're going to drop. Well, they're going to skyrocket. They're just staying on the sidelines. They're still renting. Like, damn it, this sucks. Like, when is it going to drop?
I feel bad if you're a renter. I really feel bad if you're a renter because housing hasn't dropped to anything that
we've had little blips, but not crashes.
No crashes. No crashes coming in sight because when inventory is this low, there's no reason.
I want to pull up the Maricopa County. We'll start off with new listings. So the blue line is this year. Still low new listings. Why? Because inventory is low. So looking at the past 3 years, they're kind of like, for the most part, up and down the, 2,000 listings in Maricopa County? Is that about right, 2,000?
Yeah.
Maricopa's kind of big, or is this a fraction of something?
Fraction of something. 2,000, that sounds too low.
But anyway, so very low. Now let's look at homes sold. Still far below the last 3 years. It might cross last year's, maybe. New home sold. Medium sell price is the big one. So right now it's 3% less than it was last year, but it's on a slight upward. It might be a little bump.
Oh my, go to 2020.
2020.
Today's date, yeah, because
which is
That's 21.
it's the red line, right?
Yeah, look at that. 328. It's 130,000 less.
Yeah. So what is it? 445,
460.
465. That was only a matter of
3 years.
3 years, dude.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Well over $100,000.
And I don't see salaries changing.
I don't see anything else changing except going up. Everything we need to buy.
Well, everything we need to buy or everything we need to sustain, like gas and electricity, everything's going up.
I know the things you need to sustain. Shelter keeps going up in price. Food keeps going up in price. Utilities keeps going up in price. It's stuff that they know people need. It's like, how do you squeeze them in this area? I don't think you should be. It's unethical.
It's unethical, but it's like, who's going to stop them? Because they're supporting the politics.
I can understand like frivolous things that you don't need, like TVs. They're going up in price. Okay, whatever.
They're not. TVs are cheap.
TVs are cheap.
Did you go to Costco? Like, I can get an 80 incher for less than $1,000. I'm like, fudge. But it's not a necessity. Like right now, I'm all about just necessity.
All your necessities are expensive. Everything else, not very important. It's crazy though.
Well, I mean, you notice your grocery bills like high.
Really high.
And the healthier you eat, the more expensive it is.
Because if you eat unhealthy, you go to your doctor and that's high.
Yeah.
Then no matter what, you're going to get screwed either way.
It's cheaper to eat healthy, buy organic stuff, and eat whole foods. But everything's dang expensive. Gas is still expensive. I don't care what anyone
Gas
says.
is going back up again.
And it's going back up right now. It's like, fudge, man. My electricity is going up. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, because gas is going up.
Is that why? That sucks. But it's just, to me, there's no end in sight as far as that's concerned. Anything that you look at as far as like fixing your house, like getting your roof done, is way more expensive than it was 3 years ago. Any type of maintenance on your air conditioner is way more expensive than it was 3 years ago. And then top it off with like things you need, like you said, housing. Like if you're a renter and you're on the sidelines and you're like, oh, it's gonna crash. I have friends that are renters.
You spent the last 2, maybe 3 years on the sidelines going, oh, it's going to crash, it's going to crash. Like you just blew all that money
You're dying.
into rent.
You're killing yourself.
Into the rent. You built no equity for yourself.
I have a friend that's been saying that for 4 years. He sold his house in 2019. I'm wait for the market to go back down. Housing has doubled since he sold. And I'm pretty sure he probably went through the savings he had on the difference on what he's paying for rent. And he's like, oh, my rents keep going up. Like, duh. You can't control what the rent's going to be on your next lease. You know? I mean, if you would have just bought a house, like we went over the numbers, if he would have just bought a house right away for what the house that he's renting, easily half. He's renting for over $3,000 a month.
Let's talk about like worst case scenario right now. Right now, if you buy a house, let's say it's a $400,000 house. How much do you think that monthly payment will be right now?
I don't know. What's your monthly payment? Like $2,300, $2,500?
It's just a little over 21. So let's say. Oh, last time I was looking at a house around that price range, it was about 2,500, 26 maybe.
Yeah, $2,600 a month.
So if you were to pay that right now, that same house 10 years from now, would that payment still be the same, greater, or less?
The payment's the same if you're locked in rate.
Yes, if you're locked in rate. But I'm saying that if you waited for that same house as it appreciate, would that house appreciate over time?
Oh, 100%.
Years, right? So therefore, if you waited 10 years and you buy the house later, 10 years,
you're lost.
What's your payment going to look like then?
It's going to be north of 3, easy.
North of 3. So but renting prices keep going up each year.
Your rent is 3 now, so
whatever your rent is right now, it's guaranteed to increase in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
If you were to get a house payment right now, it's a high interest rates, high price. I get it, but if you lock in that payment right now, you're still going to have that payment 10 years from now if you don't change, you don't refinance or anything like that, right? But you can guarantee your rent is going to go up with zero equity tied in. So I understand that people are on the sidelines because they think it's going to go down. Maybe it's a little jealousy that they didn't get the low interest rate and the current prices back then. But it could still keep going up.
Yeah.
I mean, the boat's going to keep going. And how many times do you have to see the boat go by and a new boat comes in with
I'll catch the next one.
higher price? Like, no, I'll catch the next one. The next boat that comes around is going to be a lower price, lower interest rate. It doesn't.
No.
It's going up. Until how much do you spend the money into renting?
Well, I think you're stuck and you're going to have to wait for the next crash. If it's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you're committed.
Okay, I mean, good luck timing crashes. Good luck timing the market,
No,
let
you
alone
can't.
the housing market.
Unless you're Pelosi, you can't time it. You just can't.
And look at the data I have here. I have active listings. This year, it's the lowest for the past 3 years because it crossed the 2021 mark.
Yeah, for this time period, yes, it's the lowest.
So active listings
And I
right
can see
now
that going down.
is 11,600. That's so low because last year it shot up because interest rates are starting to go up. People were scared, like I need to sell it now or else the price is going to go up. No, price did not go down, not that much. So now active listings are still low, and people think, oh, prices are going to drop. Not that much.
It's on an upward spike right now.
A little upward spike for prices to drop.
Yep.
So that house you're looking at, but the houses when I was house shopping, the only houses that dropped in price were the as-is houses, the crap houses that no one really wants. No one wants to go, this house needs a new roof. So I would have to be like more than 10 grand deep already. I don't like the flooring. A lot of the houses that are selling right away, the houses that don't require much maintenance.
Yep.
They look great. They're moving ready.
Yep.
It's the moving ready houses that are selling. They don't have to have a price drop.
Correct.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you agree or disagree with any of that?
No, I think a house is turnkey ready. Like they're gonna get what they ask for. It's the houses that are beat up in this market. It ain't what it was 2 years ago. If you had a beat up house 2 years ago, you can get what you want because people were paying premiums. Now there's a lot more negotiating right now. There's a lot more negotiating. Hey, AC's old. I want credit for that. Hey, the roof, my inspector said it's going to go soon. I want credit for that. And you're stuck saying yes because the next person that comes in, well, what's the inspector say? Oh, it was just recently inspected. Like,
if you're looking at a house and that was once pending and it's back on the market, it's like, hey, what happened?
Something's wrong with it.
What happened here? And then you go to the negotiating, you're like, oh, okay, this is because they're gonna be like, okay, they're gonna run an inspection, and they're gonna because everyone's inspecting now.
Yeah, they're all gonna find the same thing.
They're gonna
Why
find
not
the
just
same
tell them
thing.
right away? Like, oh, it's gonna need a new roof sometime. Mm-hmm. And then the inspector says, yeah, he's right. It's gonna need a new roof. At least you were up front. So there's not. You still negotiate, but you can say, hey, the price is already built into that. You could say that right up front. When they say, how did you come up with this price? Oh, because it's going to need a new roof, so we knocked off 10. It's going to need an AC down the road. We knocked off 5 for that, so that's why the price is what the price is. Mm-hmm. And that way, if you don't say that up front, your inspector tells you, hey, this is what it needs. You can negotiate. You have more power because it wasn't up front that it needed that. Mm-hmm. If you say it up front, be like, hey, this is why I came up with the price because it needs all this. Understandable.
2023, do not waive inspections. Get those inspections. Get the general, the roof, and the AC inspections minimum. So a lot of people do just the general. I get it. Unless it's like, if the house is like, I'd say 7 years old, maybe older, do a roof and AC inspection.
Yeah, just for the hell of it, because you don't know.
You don't know, right? AC units. I hear people say that the AC unit went out. Their brand new one went out within 4 years.
Yeah, it can. And we live in Arizona. It's hot.
It's hot. The sun beats down on it.
It beats up your AC unit.
Mm-hmm. It's working hard all the time.
Yep. Overtime most of the time. So
it's a worthy investment and peace of mind to get those inspections. Because they'll come back and be like, hey, it needs $2,000 worth of work, or you need a new unit.
Yep.
And then you bring that into the negotiating table. And let's see, what else do I got? So housing, now some of the data. I mean, we looked at some of the Zillow data on rent. Though rent may be dropped a little bit, and I think a lot of it has to do with a lot more new apartment complexes being popped up, so there's competition there. But still, paying over $2,000 on average for a rental, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah, a ton.
You can still find some.
But housing's more though now.
Housing payments is a little bit more.
Yeah.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there like 10 20 years ago when mortgage payments were cheaper than
Yeah, that was just
apartments?
recently too. That was before COVID. I was still telling people, hey man, you can buy the same apartment or townhouse in your complex and pay less than what you're renting, and it's all going to you. Not anymore. Not when after COVID with the rate jumps and the rentals. No, and the rates being so high. No,
Yeah, current rates 30-year fix at 7.19.
that's up from last week that we
So
talked about. Keeps going up.
what do you tell people like, okay, I was bringing this up that what was the median price again?
467 or something.
$465,000 for an average house. You know, your 3-bedroom, 2-bath, nothing special, nothing crazy. And I looked up like, okay, what's the average salary for people? So like, let's say someone between 35 to 44 was looking for a house. The average wage is like 63,600. What can you afford with that?
A $400,000 and below house. You're looking at 350 to 400. That's best case scenario if you have no other debts.
No other debts.
Which a car payment kills you.
You can't even have a car payment.
If you have a car payment with car payments today, people have $7,000 to $1,000 car payments. I'm like, how? That's what it is, and that will knock you off your what you can buy, and you cannot buy a house. So you need 2 people on the loan.
Yeah, you need dual income for sure.
Yeah, because car payments have gotten. That's another industry that's gone crazy. Those car payments are ridiculously high, and you can't afford anything. You can't. That's why you're a renter.
So what do you do if your salary's not up there? How can you convince someone to get a house then if they can't afford it?
Well, they can't afford it. You can't convince anyone that can't afford it.
Who's buying houses right now? People who are just, of course, above that salary, right?
Above, plus people that have to buy here, that moved here, you know?
Maybe people who are just broke the 6-figure mark
Well,
to live comfortably with a mortgage today.
yeah, it's new couples, people that got married, people that are getting together, people that are dating, people that are moving here, people that want to get away from their current situation, which is either living at home, just graduated college, thinking you have to grow up. You know, a smart way to do it is, you know, I tell some people, you know, a friend of ours, their son just graduated, is going to school right now. I think he's a senior at ASU. He bought a house. His parents helped him with that, with the down payment, and his roommates pay the mortgage.
Okay, not everyone has that starting where their parents can help them
Yeah.
out with the down payment of a house, though.
No, but
We're
that's
talking about people who are like in their mid-30s, coming to 40s, like still have yet to ever
you're screwed.
buy a house.
You're almost late to the game. You're not done. It's not over, but if you don't do something now to get there, fix your credit.
Would you just say
Pay off your debt.
just get the house? Stop waiting.
Yeah, get the house. Get
Stop trying to
a
time-
house. You don't have to get the perfect house. Get a starter home.
Just get something. Stop waiting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Get into a house
Oh,
and then
100%.
build your equity, and then maybe sell it down the road for the house you really want, or
Keep telling yourself
rent it
renting's
out,
good.
something,
It's
right?
not. It's not. At the end of the day, if you are a family, if you're a family man, you have kids, and you don't have a house, good luck. Because it's only going up. It's only going to get more difficult. It's uncomfortable to buy now because you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to have that extra income. But it's going to be even worse down the road.
Well, I still believe that it's one of two things. Either one, housing prices are going to continue to go up, or they could be flat. I don't think they're going to go down in price.
Yeah.
And if they do go down in price, it's not going to be significant enough
Yeah.
that you think, or a lot of people think it's worth the jumping in. It's going to go down a little bit and then come right back up.
Correct.
But
Let's get Brian's opinion and get him on here.
yeah, we have time to get Brian in right now. So he should be coming in soon. So we'll just stop it here for now. So like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're about to get Brian with Lionshare Mortgage
Yep.
to talk more about what we were just talking
Let's
about.
get him on the horn.
All right. There we go. Switch.
And we're live with, well, not really live, but we're here with Brian Raspberry, a good friend of mine, and I just wanted to bring him on and talk a little bit what's going on in the real estate market. Brian, take it away. Who are you?
So Brian Raspberry here with Lionshare Mortgage. I'm a local broker out here in Mesa, Arizona. Started my own broker company this past year. Been in the mortgage business since 2005 with Countrywide out there for all you mortgage old heads.
I worked for Countrywide.
We actually worked together at Countrywide.
Oh, really?
That's how we met. We're on the same
Absolutely.
under Steve Canatella.
There you go.
And then who's our boss? Who was
Miguel Ronquillo.
Miguel Arquillo. He hated me. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yes, he did.
We had some fun times, man. We had some fun times. It was crazy back then. Real quick before we get into all that stuff, but it felt like Wolf of Wall Street for me. Like that was my first I did countrywide operations for a year and then I switched over to sales.
Uh-huh.
And when I got there, it was so Wolf of Wall Street, man. With that, remember the regional manager, the Greek guy, what was his name? Christos?
Christos, yep.
He was cool though. I liked
He
him.
was.
He was dope. But we were all sharp dressed, all wore ties, and there's a lot of money floating in that place, man. It was pretty crazy.
Sure was. It was crazy times, man.
Yeah, it sure didn't last long, that's for sure. But going into what we have now with the market, I mean, we had a couple great years too, which it felt like back in the day. And then all of a sudden, I want to say it took a turn. I can remember when it was because it affected my paycheck. April of last year, April of 2022, the beginning of the second quarter, I felt like it just started to sink, right?
It did.
Why was that? Can you give us a recap?
Fears of recession creeping up on us, and the rates were just too low, too long, and obviously the economy had to be reeled in because we were still spending money like it was never going to end.
Yeah, the rates were unbelievably low. I mean, like we have a 2.25 30-year. Like that is unheard of, right?
That's insane. I managed to snatch one of those up too. I got it at 2.75.
That's crazy. And do you remember back in the day? Like I remember selling our mortgages. I remember they're like 7.875, close to 8%, no problem. Now, when you started seeing rates that low, and I personally do not see that happening again because that wasn't normal, right? Normal to me was 5%. You get anything 5%, that's a good rate, right?
Absolutely. 5% in this market, any market actually is a healthy market. But right now, where the rates are now, it's tough for a lot of people because 7 or 8 is actually hard to swallow.
Oh, it's like the old countrywide days, 7, 8%. But you have good credit, you're always questioning, my neighbor has 3%. Why can't I get 3%? And then you have to educate that person. It takes forever. But I think if we get down back to 5%, I think getting squeezed at 7 to 8% right now where we are, and I see it happening for the foreseeable future, that once rates do drop to say 5%, 5 to 6% range, everyone's going to be celebrating and buying like crazy again.
Yeah, you're right. I think they will be coming out the woodwork and buying again. But as you and I both know, what happens on the other side of the real estate market is the housing people start competing on houses, and that actually gets kind of crazy again. So now the values start going up again, even though the rates are lower.
So
Go ahead.
let me ask. So if inventory is so low right now, and if we are talking about lower rates, will that impact the housing market, or is that also an opportunity for people to say, you know what, I think I want to sell my house now? Will that increase inventory?
It will increase inventory because now it's hard for people to say, hey, why would I want to trade in my 3% rate for a 7% rate? But if the rates come down into the fives, now people are going to start coming off the fence and selling their home, which it means more houses are coming to the market, but there's going to be more buyers that are going to be in the market than versus people that are selling their homes. So it's still going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a big uptick. I saw a stat of renovations. A lot of people are renovating instead of moving because, they asked the poll question, a lot of people, they want to upgrade, right? Their family's growing and they're like, okay, I have a 3% interest rate, but if I buy something that's even more than what I have now, plus I have to pay 7%, that's astronomical, right? That's too much. Or I can get a HELOC and pay that off, HELOCs aren't the greatest rates right now, but at least you keep your original rate. You get a HELOC for 100,000 and you add an addition or you renovate. That's where people have been for the last year. Like you said, why would you want to get rid of that 3% rate? That's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill. And I think there's a lot of people too on the fence that they're waiting for housing to go down so they can come down, not upgrade, but downgrade because maybe their kids are out of the house and they don't need such a big house, but they can't justify leaving that 3% house for 7% and pay, pretty much the same what they're paying now, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that activity with HELOCs, but I'm seeing more of the HE loans, which is basically just like a HELOC. It's a second mortgage, except a HE loan is just a home equity loan. So it actually has a fixed rate for its entirety. And so actually here at Lionshare Mortgage, we can actually do HE loans anywhere between 10 to 20 years. They're fixed. The rates start in the low eights. I've seen them go as high as mid 11s. But at least unlike a HELOC, you don't have to worry about that rate going up after the teaser rate, where you'll say, hey, we'll lock you in for 5.99 for the first 6 months, and all of a sudden that sucker jumps on you, then you're at the mercy of the market then.
Yeah. That those are home equities. Yeah, they're very dangerous. That interesting. You said 8 to 11%. That was just a hard money loan 3 years ago.
It was.
That
It
that's
was.
that's so
But those
crazy.
are easy to swallow, because if somebody offered me a 8.5% second mortgage, and now I could take out 100 grand to fix up my backyard, to do an addition to my home, that's a lot cheaper than a personal loan. And then B, it's a lot cheaper than putting it on your credit card, where we all know credit cards are 15, 20, 25% right now.
32% for some.
Exactly. So 8.5 is nothing, And if I look at my blended rate with my first mortgage and I got an 8%, now I'm sitting close to 5.5, 6%. Not bad. I'm still ahead.
Well, blended rate on, say you had $300,000 house at 3, and you add that 100,000. I mean, that blended rate's probably 4% in reality, because it's only
In
100,000
reality,
for 3. That's fantastic in reality.
it is.
Plus you upgraded whatever you needed to upgrade, and it feels better. Or you take that HE loan. Do you tell your people, hey, if you want a second house, take a HE loan, put 20% on a rental, and get another property? Because that's obviously you see all these people talk about growing wealth, and how you do it is get a loan on your primary, buy your second house. Second house goes up in a couple of years, take out a mortgage on your second house, get a third house, and rinse and repeat. It's easier said than done. Markets, it all depends on the market. This market is, pretty crazy. We looked into doing that, but 25% down is breaking even with the way the rentals are. Plus rental is going down now. So
Correct.
what's the number one rebuttal you get from consumers when you surprise them with what today's market and today's market rate is? What's the number one thing they tell you?
They're like, hey, I think I'm gonna wait for the rates to go down. That's probably the biggest thing. I think I'm gonna wait for the rates to go down. I don't want to jump into this high rate. My neighbor has a 2.5% interest rate, and I don't see why I'm still getting that high. And I tell them all the time, I said, I can get you a little bit lower rate. You don't have to pay points, but you're not going to get into the 2 and the 3s. It's just not going to happen right now. And so I tell people now, buy the house now. If you can afford the payment, you may not be comfortable, but if you can afford it, buy the home, take it, because the market will change. And when it does, you'll be able to capture that lower rate. Whereas if you wait, that exact same house that you want now, it's going to be 10, 20, maybe 50 grand higher. And now
Yes.
what's a lower rate going to mean to you when you're paying 50 grand more than what your neighbor paid for it?
I see that scenario playing out, that the housing is going to keep going up.
Absolutely.
There's no crash coming. Not with this inventory. It's way too low. It's way too low inventory for the normal market. We would have to double what we have in inventory, and it still would be low for a normal market.
In addition to your point, Brian, is that we're still expected another rate hike this year.
We are.
And there's no plan to cut rates next year. That's been said by the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. So why would people want to wait when you're going to spend a year and a half, 2 years on rent when you could have used that time to spend equity? Yeah, I get it. You're going to be jealous that you don't have 5, 4, 3% interest rates. You're going to be at the 7 for a little bit, but at least you're building equity versus no equity on rent.
Correct. You're exactly right, because I can tell you one thing: your landlord is taking that 7, 8, 9% interest rate, and they're more than happy to collect it, because right now they're building up their equity, whereas you're actually paying out and not getting nothing in return. So when the market does shift, you've now paid down their mortgage, built up their equity, and now you're starting behind the 8 ball because you don't want to make the jump then. And now you can take advantage of refinancing. But now, yes, you have a lower rate. and now you pay 30, 40, 50 grand higher for that exact same house.
We've been seeing this for like the last 2 years, like with pandemic, everything, housing prices going up. Oh, it's going to crash. It's going to crash. It has yet to crash. It's not even slowing down. It keeps going up. It's like, what are people going to like realize? Hey, you better start jumping on it because what you're hoping for, a lot of people hoping for that. And I think there's a game plan to like, it's not going to happen. There's not going to be a crash significant enough where you're going to feel like you're going to benefit out of it if you waited a little longer.
Yeah, it's not, and you keep talking about, it's going to crash, it's going to crash, and I hear that all the time, and we've been around the game for quite a while. It's two main factors caused the crash back in 07, 08. One of them was the shady underwriting tactics, giving people loans for homes that couldn't quite afford the home at all. Here you
Ninja
are,
loans.
exactly. You're a manager at a Circle K and you're buying a $500,000 home. There's nothing wrong with a Circle K job, but let's be honest, you're not going to be able to afford a $500,000 home on a Circle K salary. Let's just be honest. And then the other one was we had way too many homes and not enough buyers. So when you have those two things going in together, which is why you had Jill, Dick, and Tom buying so many homes, and now they're trying to unload 10, 20, 30 homes because they can't afford them. So that's what happened.
Now, is that a lesson learned from 2007, 8 having too many houses? Because I feel, I could be wrong, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, that you can't just unload a lot of property right now because then it'll just decrease the value of homes. I think there might be a little control on the supply of the houses to keep demand high and maximize profits.
I agree with you there. And you can, another tell sign, you can go back and look at all the condos and apartments for rent that are getting built up right now. And they're going up like crazy. But you got to remember, you have the people that graduated from college, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago that are moving into those places. But a lot of the people that are in their early 30s to mid 30s that are in those apartments now, and they're trying to come out, but they can't quite get into the market because of how tough the rates are and the down payment requirements. And so it's kind of a tug of war right there. So those buyers are going to be coming. It's just a matter of when.
Sometimes in a market like this, though, you'll get sellers that will contribute for people with down payment and stuff like that. And I feel like that's when you want to move into a house, is when they're basically getting you into the house for no money down, because the seller's like, I can't sell this house. I don't want to keep lowering the payment. Maybe if I help tell someone, hey, I'll pay 6% towards your closing, that's, your down payment, whatever. Back in the day, it used to be 20% down to buy a house, and it's gotten a lot easier, since then. Right now, what could you do to that first-time home buyer? What are the requirements you would like, the bare minimum to get them in a house? What would they need to do to get into a house? I'm talking about the guy at 30s to 40s that lives in an apartment that has pretty much given up the American dream of owning a home because they don't have that 20%. And there is people like that out there. What do you tell them?
Well, there's a few different options, and it's a lot more easier than getting a home now than it was, 10 years ago or even 20 years ago. I mean, the myth out there is you need 20% down. Well, people in mortgage circles, in real estate circles, we know you don't need 20% down, but the general public could be surprised. I bet that number is pretty high of a lot of them thinking that you still need 20% down. There are programs out there now where you can get in as low as 3% for a home. I mean, obviously there's going to be some minimum credit score requirements, and there's going to be some income requirements and debt to income ratio requirements based on where you're looking to buy at. I'm actually working with an investor now that actually will allow you to get into a home with 1% down. That's crazy when you think about it. 1% down to buy a home. Now, again, there's credit score requirements, debt to income requirements, and things of that nature. But those programs are out there. One thing about that 1% program, the minimum loan amount is $350,000. Well, we're speaking here in Arizona, the Maricopa County area, 350 is not going to get you anywhere. And I realize that. We all realize that. But when you start going up into northern parts of Arizona, in the backwoods and back pockets, those opportunities are there for people that want to buy a home. But this 1% program is not just Arizona specific. It's across the nation. So, I definitely would encourage people to actually ask their local lender, their local broker, if they're involved in these 1% programs, because they're definitely are available. But coming back to Maricopa, I mean, 3% down is definitely available, whether it's in the form of a gift, whether it's in the form of tapping into your 401k. A lot of 401ks actually will allow you to tap in to buy your first home as long as it's a home and you're not pulling out to pay debt off. So those options are available for people, but a lot of people just don't know about it.
Now you say the 1%. I think I saw that. Are you talking about Rocket?
Yes, yes.
I did see that 1% to get in. Why wouldn't you do that if you're a
Isn't
renter?
it just temporary 1%? Like
What do you mean? Oh, 1% down payment.
1% down payment. Okay.
Yep, it's 1% down payment. So technically, you're putting 3% down, but Rocket, the lender, is actually putting the other 2% down, and then you get into a home. Minimum loan amount's 350. Credit score is actually at 620. So those options are available for clients. And again, it's just because you got to look outside the box. We live in Arizona, so we know the median price is a lot higher than 350. But when you start going into areas like
Ohio,
Missouri,
Detroit.
Ohio, Kentucky, you're going to get 350 is easy. So definitely, I would encourage people to jump into that.
Now, they pony up to 2%. It's forgivable, or is it?
They do pony up to 2%.
So they're crediting you to 2%.
What's that?
So they're giving you a 2% credit?
They're giving you the 2% for the down payment for the credit per se, yes. So they're actually taking care of that for you.
Wow.
And here's the huge bonus. There's no mortgage insurance on that. They're not building it into your rate. They're not jacking up your rate. So for an example, if the rate is 6.5 and you put down the 5%, but then you're putting down 1%. If your credit is equal to that person, you're getting that 6.5% too. They're not jacking up your rate. So they're not building it into your rate, and they're not building into the mortgage insurance. There's no mortgage insurance whatsoever, zero. So that's huge.
Wait, that's a dream. What do you mean no mortgage
There's no
insurance?
PMI. Is that what we're talking about?
There is no PMI, and we all know on a $350,000 home PMI, I don't care where your credit is, you're looking at $150, $200 easily.
Oh yeah. Well, if you have bad credit, you're screwed. It's like $500 payment.
Correct. So, you meet that criteria. There's no mortgage insurance. I mean, that's the difference of you qualifying for a home and not qualifying for a home.
Oh, big time. That's more purchasing power.
Absolutely, absolutely it is. So, I would imagine as time goes on that limit will raise itself. But right now, it's at 350 because there's still a lot of pockets in there in the nation that can do 350 easily. Very easily.
Yeah, that's ideal. What's the top credit score that you want to be able to get whatever rate you want?
If you want to get whatever rate that you want, you definitely want to be 740 and higher. You can still get great rates at 700 and higher, but if you really want to get the cream of the crop, 740 is really, really, really where you want to be at.
So so is there a difference between 740 and 850?
Not really.
Right.
From what I've seen, not really. No.
If you look at a rate sheet, 740 is top notch.
It is. You might get some perks if you're like, you're like in wealth management and you're buying from your bank and you have a certain amount of money invested with the bank, then maybe, but just across the board, no, not really.
Well, that's even hard now in today's market with, Chase Wealth Management or JP Morgan Wealth Management or even Wells Fargo Wealth Management. They don't want to give out as many perks as they did before right now for housing, which is crazy.
They don't. They're actually relying on, little companies like myself, our mortgage brokers, to take care of that legwork for them. And then they'll come in and buy up the loan. But right now, they really don't want to do it up front. So you're exactly right.
I still see, like in big cities, brokers are pretty big. Why is it not the same thing in a small town? Like I still see like smaller towns across the US, they still want to use Wells Fargo. They still want to use Chase. They want to use the banks that are in that little small town. Why is it hard for brokers to tap into those small places?
It's hard because unless you're from that town or from that area, you grew up and you have those relationships, or your parents have those relationships with those people, it's really hard to kind of break in. So if I was to go into a small town in Nevada and they've been using Wells Fargo and Chase, it's really going to be hard to kind of pull those people away. And at the end of the day, it just really comes back to relationships. It doesn't mean that you can't get in eventually, but it's going to definitely take some time because those banks have now built those relationships with those clients.
Yeah, and I think it's more trust too. And I think Chase
Yeah,
and Wells Fargo do a good job of scaring their clients. Like, hey, you have your money with us. We've been here forever. We've helped your grandpa out. We bought the farm for him. Like, why would you go to a no-name guy that, they play games. I know where it's at, but they need to make money. So, and I'm guilty of that. I used to say the same thing, when I worked at Wells Fargo, like, oh, why would you go to, so and so, knowing that they're better than us? You use attack like you have your money with us. They don't have a bank. They don't have a relationship with you. Not that we did either. Like we didn't care. We just wanted their loan. So I think it's a trust issue with the smaller places, and I think it's also smaller towns don't have what big cities have. A lot of advertising or what's going on, or not just that, like they don't have the choices. They're
correct.
not assimilated to have choices. They grew up one way, and that's what they believe.
Absolutely. And one thing that stands out between, a broker and a bigger bank like a Chase or Wells Fargo, what the general public doesn't know is usually when those deals are done with brokers, the big banks end up buying those deals. So then a client may say, why don't I just go straight to Chase and Wells Fargo? The difference is going to be in your closing costs and rates. On average, your rate is going to be about 0.5% to 0.75% better at a broker shop than it would be at the big banks. But the general public doesn't know or understand that. Well, why is the difference in the rate? It's one simple word: overhead. Banks have overhead that they have to take care of in salary, so they have to pay for it one way. So they're going to have the client pay the higher rate. Why not work with the broker, get the cheaper rate? We know that mortgage is going to get mailed to them eventually, and then
Mm-hmm.
now you get ahead. So that's the way to go.
And I was told too by like UWM, someone at UWM is they're able to do that because they have an account with those banks that, hey, we're going to sell you 1,000. We're going to get you 1,000 of these for your book of business, compared to Joe Schmo going in, hey, how come I can't get that rate? Well, UWM is able to give me 1,000 of these a month. You're just giving me one. Why would I give you the same deal when I need to give them a better deal to get their business, which makes
Correct.
sense.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely.
But
So
no, I like that. Where do you see housing going from here? Like right now, the temperature out there, talking to realtors and stuff. I mean, I know realtors have to be gung ho and say, oh, it's a great market, great time to buy. It's always a damn good time to buy when you talk to a realtor, no matter what it is, right? Hell
yep.
could be freezing over and they're saying, oh, it's a great time to buy. But,
Mhm.
like a realtor in Hawaii probably saying it's a great time to buy, their shit's burning to the ground, but didn't mean to make it a joke out of it. But I'm saying
I
like,
get it.
it's like they're always super positive, but I get it. You have to be. But in
Yes.
reality, I live in the real world. What I see, a lot of open houses. You didn't see
Hmm.
that 2 years ago, right?
Sure.
2 years ago, sold as is. Oh, you want the roof fixed? No, I'll sell it to someone else. And you'd have to bite the bullet, pay premium. Remember, just 2 years ago, we were paying 50 grand. Some houses were 100 grand premium over, right?
Yeah.
Now, and you never had open houses because realtors were turning those houses over in a week. Now I keep seeing same houses on open house every other week. And it's like, they can't sell this place. What's going on?
Probably asking too much,
Asking too
not
much.
budging.
And there's a lot more negotiation. There's a lot. Hey,
Right.
fix this, fix that.
Hmm.
So when you talk to realtors, I know they're chippery and stuff. Your honest realtors that talk to you and tell you that what's really going on, what are they telling you?
They're saying a bunch of different things, and it's and they're trying to wrap their head around the market just like we are, and it's hard to kind of gauge what's going to happen with the market. What they're comparing it to '08, and things of that nature. At the end of the day, it goes back to what you said, Luke. It's always a good time to buy. I mean, you should never, if you're ready to buy, because as we all know, since the beginning of time, real estate has always appreciated somehow, some way, some fashion. They've had big strides, they've had small strides, but since the beginning of time, real estate is something that is always appreciated over time. Always.
And that's what I tell people too when they're trying to buy their first home and it's a primary, and they're like, well, what if it goes down? So what? It's your house. Like, you're not planning on selling it. You're going to live there for
Mhm.
God knows how many years. It's going to come back up. Look
Always.
at a chart. It's like a roller coaster. You have a decade where it's awesome. You have a couple bumpy years and another decade where it's awesome. Right now, we're in those couple years that it's just sucks, but it's going to get back up. The only difference I see is housing is not going down.
Yeah, yeah, and I try to tell people don't wait for something big to happen before you act. I mean, when everybody's trying to buy at one time, we all know you're going to be paying premium for whatever is a hot item at the time. I don't care if it's the TV, I don't care if it's the new PlayStation 2, whatever, the new car. Every that price is going to pay a premium. Get in when nobody's really in right now. Doesn't mean it's a bad time to get in. It just means that right now this is the best time to get the best deal. And kind of going back to what you mentioned earlier with seller contributions, sellers are actually contributing to people's closing costs for a particular home, and even new builds. New builds are doing it like crazy. So if you find their house that you want and you really like it, you can usually negotiate and get that seller to contribute to your closing costs, which is a huge difference.
Let me go on that. I mean, at first, don't time the market. I think that should be included in the housing market. And second, tell us about the benefits of new builds right now.
Well, with new builds are getting kind of creative here, and they're actually giving a lot of incentives as far as they will actually contribute to your closing costs. They will contribute to giving you a much lower rate and pay down your not your balance, but your points on buying down your rate. And so it just depends on where you're looking at buying. But I've seen crazy stuff as low as in the mid fives and the high fives, and they're obviously paying for your closing costs, or they'll give you certain credit to take care of your backyard, which we all know when you're buying a home, the front yard is done, but it's always that backyard you got to look at because it's just a big pile of dirt. And now, depending on what you want to put back there, it can be anywhere something cheap putting in grass, which could cost you 7 to 10 grand, to putting in a whole casita and a pool, which could be 100 grand. So, I definitely new builders are actually giving those incentives. And I always try to encourage people to get out there and take care of that stuff now, especially if you want to buy.
Yeah, I think new builds, depending on what company it is, they're just giving out a ton. And we all know fourth quarter is coming up. At the end of the fourth quarter, they're giving that stuff away.
Yep.
They're giving out backyard packages, and it's basic, but it still saves you 20 grand. Plus,
Absolutely.
what do you want for countertops? What do you want for flooring?
Mhm.
What do you want for paint? And then what do you need help with as far as closing costs? Here's $12,000 to help you. And I think when they advertise that, here's 12,000 for your loan, but in reality, they want you to use it for rate, right? That's why you get the attractive rate, because you can still get, like right now, probably high fives, 6% on a new build, because they're using all that incentive money to buy down your rate. I know
Right.
a lot of companies are doing that, and that's smart, but if you can get them to throw in countertops and stuff like that, and upgraded cabinets, I think you're winning, big time. I know, like, my brother just bought in Santan. On the way there, I saw a ton of new builds coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of companies, like, here we go. I was like, yep, they're building like crazy. And I feel like I saw that 3 years ago, like all these different company signs, like Toll Brothers and
Yep.
Taylor Morrison, their signs were all together, and it's starting to happen again. But I think the biggest issue is there's so many apartment complexes going up as well.
It's crazy.
That I get it. You need renters, but that's hurting the market. And going back to what we were talking about, I know for a fact, I can't say who it is, but we were talking to someone high up at Open Door that we know. We can't say his name. We don't want to get him in trouble. Last time I talked to him, he said that Open Door they only have 25% of their books of what they have in inventory out on the market. And they're following the same plan as other companies. And I know BlackRock has the same strategy. We were talking to Mike Barnhart about it, a colleague of ours or a friend of ours. These companies do it on purpose because they know they flood the market. Housing goes down, they'll lose money on it. Another concept is they're allowing these properties to be rented out so they make some money now, but then they'll make the money down the road, which is crazy. Not a conspiracy theory. It's happening, right? And it's happening all over. That's one key of holding, housing to historical lows right now as far as what's out there on the market. But like again, what in a Brian Raspberry happy ending or a good situation, where do rates need to be for it to be a good market, for it to be for people to start buying, start selling?
Well, if you ask the general public that question, they'll say 2 to 3%.
Right.
But that's not
I think that will crash the market.
It absolutely will. A healthy market is a rate in the fives. A healthy market just across the board, whether it's low fives up to the high fives, that is a healthy market because it kind of keeps everything even keeled. You're not spending too much, but at the same time, you are out there spending a little bit to keep things going, keep jobs afloat. When the rates are just too low, everybody bum rushes the rates all at one time, and then all of a sudden everybody pulls out and everything kind of crashes, and now the rates need to go up to slow down the spending. I think mid fives is a good, healthy place to be.
Well, I think 2 or 3% will crash the market. Here's why. Everyone that saw what happened last time, they're going to pull every dollar out of their main property and they'll buy another property or fix their credit, buy off their debt, or invest in some other, financial vehicle. Second, rates go down 2-3%. I think these housing companies, the new builds and stuff, they'll raise the prices again. When rates went down, they were raising their prices. What happens? Everyone else raises their prices, and it's not small. It was a lot. A $300,000 house is now $600,000 in a short couple of years. Are you serious? That will happen again. Not to that degree, but I could see that $600,000 house going up to $800,000. Just to get, just to say, well, you were comfortable paying this. Why don't we get you, housing is a little bit more, but the price is a little more because you were comfortable before.
It comes down to the payment.
Absolutely.
Like car dealers. Remember you go buy a car and like, oh, here, I got to get you this car for $500. You're like, oh, that's pretty good. Then you find out it's for 9 years. And like, whoa, stop. That's a lot. That's kind of crazy. Oh, one thing I want to talk to you about, which I heard a rumor, 40-year mortgages are coming back.
Yeah, I have started to see something of that nature coming up. And I actually believe, depending on certain areas, certain pockets, 40 years are not bad, especially in high price areas like parts of California, Washington State, Seattle, all those coastal areas when those house prices are simply out of control. And anybody in their right mind, it's hard to survive making a 30-year mortgage payment on $1 million home.
Correct.
It's just hard. And so, yes, I think those programs do need to come into effect for places like that, even places like New York, on the East Coast. But
yeah, true.
In pockets like, here in Phoenix and Nevada and Colorado, I think that's sending the wrong message because everybody will be flipping to 40-year mortgages and now they're just going to accumulate more debt.
Well, that's what happened when 30-year came out back in the day. Not that I was around, but
yeah,
people moved it to that. I saw it for FHA was going to bring 40-year. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they have that back in the day when we were at Countrywide, a 40-year FHA loan?
I want to say they did. If they did, it was briefly, but I do want to say
it was super brief, right? It was like really short. We were known for selling ARMs back in the day. That was the big thing. Remember 2-year ARMs with 3-year prepaids?
I hated those, man. I felt guilty putting people in those things because those were bad deals. But yes, that's super bad. What we had to sell.
I remember back in the day, because I was new to it, that people that were refinancing, there was like a $30,000 hit because they had a prepaid on there. I was like, holy cow, that's unheard of now. Like people in the business don't know what I'm talking about when I bring up the old days, right?
Yeah, that's bad. I think the biggest one I've ever had to hit somebody with was like $60,000, and they were in Maryland, and they paid it because they had a lot of debt they had to get out of. But Yeah, those are bad.
Those were hard to swallow. I remember doing 30, 40,000 prepays. I'm like looking at Steve going, what is this? Oh yeah, they want to refinance, they have to do the prepay. I'm like, wait a second, but we're putting people in these arms that have prepaids. Yeah, that means they can't refinance for 3 years unless they want to pay a premium. It's like, wow. You
Yeah,
know, 2008, the bottom dropped. They got rid of those loans. They got rid of prepayments because that was crushing people. I mean, 60,000, where's that going? To the bank.
correct.
These banks are just murdering people. Because if we were charging that for just our little shop, can you imagine across the whole nation?
Yeah, bad for business.
Oh, did you see Mazzillo died?
Who?
Anthony Mazzillo.
The Countrywide guy?
Yeah, our guy from
No,
Countrywide. Yeah, he passed away a couple months ago,
Oh wow.
or maybe a
I
month ago. Check it
I
out.
did not know that. Tan Man.
Tan Man, remember Tan Man? I cannot say anything bad about him. Yeah,
No,
he had a business model. He was allowed to do that, and he did it. Right?
correct.
Remember, he was taking out 2 million in stocks every twice a
Yeah,
week or something.
he had a good model for a while. He really did, and he actually helped a lot of people
He
get
really
into
did.
buy homes, man. And some people took advantage of that and still are reaping the benefits of that today.
And
So it
they
wasn't
made him the bad
bad.
guy, which I'm 100% against because I really believe he, like you said, he was trying to help people into homes.
Correct. Correct. And he did. So he wasn't the bad guy. You're right, like you just said, he was playing by the rules that were laid out. And now they wanted to change the
Exactly.
rules on him, and now he's a bad guy.
Well, they wanted to change the rules and say, okay, now that rules have changed, you fall under this category, you are guilty. It's like, no, I was doing this legally and I was buying my stock back at a certain price that was agreed upon. Not my fault. The stock shot up to whatever it was. And I remember it was like 2 million a week he was making just off of buying stock and selling it.
That's, that's just crazy, man.
And that's good for him. That's the rules that was in his contract and is legally binding and good for him.
Yeah. Hey,
Again, I miss those days.
yeah, it was crazy times, man. The wild, wild west days.
The only thing we didn't do was throw midgets in the office, but besides that, it was pretty wild.
Yeah, it was good times, man.
It
Good
was
times.
it was pretty wild. But we're go ahead and end here real soon. But what's Brian Raspberry doing now? What's he do on his downtime?
In my downtime, I actually took a job at Williamsfield High School. So I'm the assistant sprint coach there. So I'm helping kids over there in track and field. That actually is my background. So I'm just trying to lend over some of my expertise and help these kids, man, get faster, man. So that's really what I'm doing. And I'm enjoying every bit of
That's awesome. I should send my son to you. He
it.
plays soccer, so that'd be awesome. Well, I want to leave on this. He went to school with Peyton Manning,
That's awesome.
I did.
Tennessee, track and field, Tennessee.
That's cool.
Sure did. Spent my first 2 years at University of Tennessee and actually went to school with Peyton Manning. I actually knew the guy, hung out together. So yeah, he's a good guy.
That is a cool story. That is cool. Well, brother, I want to leave you on a good note. Hopefully, this was a good experience for you. Would love to bring you back, get your
Absolutely.
input, and next time we'll have it more organized where we say, hey, let's talk about this instead of putting you on the spot. Unless you like being on the spot, I'm cool with that too.
I'm cool either way, man. I really appreciate the opportunity to hang out with you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we'll see you soon. Take care,
All
bud.
right, man. You guys take care.
Have a good one.